For years now, we've been bombarded with the idea there are too many people alive on the planet, that the survival of our species depends on significantly cutting our numbers in some way at some point, probably beginning right now. There is, however, another school of thought. Among others, Elon Musk of Tesla, SpaceX and Twitter fame has said the greatest challenge facing our species is not overpopulation, but total worldwide population collapse. As part of the necessary conversation, filmmaker Stephen Shaw has made Birth Gap, Childless World, in which he invites us to contemplate that most of the world's countries face a future in which care homes are full beyond capacity with the elderly, while the playgrounds and primary schools are all but empty of children. Take a look at a clip from the film.
Coming from the world of data science, I felt I understood populations are going up and that that's a problem. When I saw what was actually happening, I couldn't sleep.
I think that the biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse. Collapse.
I agree.
This 4-year project took me to 24 countries, and over 230 people were kind enough to give me an hour of their lives. How could it be that suddenly countries are having so few children? I needed to go and find out.
And Stephen joins me now. Stephen, I watched the first hour of the film. That's what I had time for when I was doing some background research, and I found it utterly harrowing, jaw-droppingly upsetting. In a nutshell, what do you think is happening to world population?
Well, if you look at the world today, 70% of people live in a country where they're having less than 2 children per mother, below what we call replacement level. It means that whilst our attention might go to places like Africa that are having more children, the reality for most of us is we've got a very different future ahead of us. And why we're not talking about it is the reason I made the documentary. It's quite shocking when you look at numbers like Japan, Germany, Italy, that really, as you say, lead to harrowing stories about people's lives.
I watched, and so much of what I found so upsetting was one person after another, mostly women, shrugging their shoulders almost at how this childlessness had happened to them, and people speaking on behalf of society in full knowledge that fertility or population numbers were collapsing around them, and it was just don't know.
Well, I find that a lot with younger people in particular. I call this unplanned childlessness. 80% of people in most of these countries have ended up childless despite originally planning to have a family, and most of us don't know that. And many of these women, men too, are suffering deep personal grief as to how, and I know people listening to this tonight will relate to this, and it is a harrowing story. For those people, of course, who don't want children, that's fine. I'm supporting people who don't want. But what we've got is people, I think, who drift into this. And whether that's societal or personal, that's part of the conversation I want people to be having, you know.
Where in the system, where in the process is the childlessness coming in? You know, I mean, I've got 3 kids. My brother-in-law's got 3 kids. You know, there's a lot of people around me, and I see them having families. So, where is this bubble of nothingness coming? Where is it?
Well, I think society today is engineered for people to have children in their 30s, not in their 20s. But yet, one of the data points I've found is that for those people, those women who do not have their first child by age 30, there's only a 50% likelihood they will ever become a mother. And most people find that quite shocking. When I asked people through a survey, what age do you think it becomes 50-50, the most common answer was 40. So there's a misconception, really, in terms of both the shortening of the fertility window, but there's something else. The biggest single reason is not having a partner at that right time. You know, people think, okay, I'm 33, I'm 35, I'm ready. But they don't have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or they've gone through a divorce, and people don't factor this in. So there are so many people, and the rest of the documentary goes into this in quite a lot of detail, emotional detail, of people who are saying, where's my Prince Charming?
Jasmine, how do you react to this?
Well, you've mentioned Japan, Germany, Italy, and I did know about Japan particularly having this population crisis, essentially, and also Italy. But these are very different countries,
Yes.
and particularly Italy is a surprising one. It's a Catholic country. You expect Catholic countries
Yes.
to produce more children. Did you get any reasons? Were they the same reasons or very different reasons?
Well, this is the most remarkable thing. And what drew me to this initial analysis I did was to find out what the connection was between these different countries. And it turns out in 1974, the year of the oil shock, both Japan and Italy at the exact same time had this sudden increase in childlessness. Yet family structure didn't change at all. Mothers who are having 1, 2, 3, 4, the percentage of those actually hasn't changed for decades. Childlessness rocketed around times of financial uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I think what happened, or what does happen, because it happened at the time of the mortgage crisis as well in the States and elsewhere, 07, 08, people delay parenthood. And probably for good reasons, there's uncertainty. But then we enter this window where, fertility falls off much more quickly than we think.
But there have always been bad times for societies.
Yes.
And yet this would appear to be unprecedented, and
Yes.
it's global.
Yes.
So we've always hit crashes and hard times, 1929 stock market crash and all the rest of it.
Yes.
What's so different globally that's driving a global collapse?
Well, it's a great question. I think societal norms have changed in a way that they couldn't or didn't change in the past. And I think the idea that we can continue working. I mean, people study hard these days. That's a good thing. Women's education, that's a good thing. But then you need to develop your career. And that wasn't the case necessarily, a generation or two ago. So you need to invest time in doing that.
Yeah.
And then you're 32.
Is there a way back? I mean, there's a sense in the programme that we may have crossed the point of, gone beyond the point of no return.
Well, in a sense we have. We'll never go back. And the UK too, by the way. We have a 20% birth gap in the UK. If you take the number of people aged 50 compared to the number of newborns, this country is on a downward trend that we haven't actually noticed yet. Is there hope? There is. The hope comes from when I've shown the documentary to younger people. When I see, and I just had this at Cambridge this weekend, Cambridge University cancelled my documentary because some people think this is a dangerous subject. Yes.
Well, it is a dangerous subject.
Well, it was quite
It's an
shocking to me.
existential challenge.
Yes, but some people felt other students shouldn't listen to this. But those who came to me to talk about it, their eyes are opened and saying, well, actually, we didn't know this. And I think younger people will help societies change to make it easier, whatever that means, to start a family younger. Because that's the only solution here.